Merlinsports.
Hey everyone, welcome to our NFC Divisional round preview show. With us today is DDawg. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well, my friend.
And
well,
of
looking
course,
forward to Sunday. This weekend.
Can't wait. And of course, this is Fenomena of Merlinsports, and today we're going to break down the NFC side of the bracket. And there's two big divisional games this week. So let's see what's on the menu. Saturday game has the Washington Commanders going to Detroit to face the number one seed Detroit Lions. Been waiting after their bye week. And on Sunday, we get the LA Rams traveling to Philly to face the Philadelphia Eagles, which should be a great game. So let's start with the first game, which happens it's the Saturday night game, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And the aforementioned Washington Commanders, after a huge win over the Tampa Bay Bucks, which is probably the game of the week last week in terms of, going right down to the wire. And they're traveling the spoils of their victory. They get the number one seed, travel to Detroit to face the Lions. and the Lions are favored by 9.5. So, how do you see this game shaping up, DDawg?
Like Washington would probably want to feel like they're the team of destiny after, getting that last first down, milking the clock, and kicking that field goal that bounces off the upright through the goalposts, a few inches the other way, and it might have bounced out, and we go to overtime. But I don't think they have the horses to compete with Detroit. Detroit's been the best team in football all year for me. Kansas City and Detroit have been back and forth. You could argue for the best team in football, but for the most part, Detroit's been the best team in football. Their coach, I can't describe. It's hard to describe the words to describe that guy. He's intense. His players love him. They play for him. He's tough. If you went into a bar and you got in a fight, the coach would be right beside you fighting away, right? That's the kind of coach he is, and the players just they gravitate to that, and so Detroit's been, like I said, they've been the best team in football for me all year, and I don't want to say that it's going to be just a cakewalk, but I don't see the Commanders being able to compete with Detroit. Jaden Daniels has had a great year, so he's going to win. I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but he has been prone to turn the football over, and against Detroit, they don't turn the football over. Jared Goff, if you pressure him a little bit, he might give you something. But this team's been locked in for the whole season. I think they're pissed from last season when they lost to San Francisco, and they probably felt they could have won that game. They were up in the fourth quarter and they blew it. So they've been focused on getting back and winning and getting to their first Super Bowl. And I do have them going to the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to stop there and pick them to lose. They're beating Washington. I think they're going to beat them comfortably. I'm not going to say by 40, 50 points. No, I'm going to say that, but they're going to beat them pretty comfortably.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're in for a treat. There probably is going to be a lot of points in this game because, of course, you've mentioned the Lions are dynamic on offense. They're just so well balanced too with the pass and the run and the consistency and accuracy of Jared Goff. Yeah, who you mentioned rarely turns the ball over. And even the games where he did turn the ball over, Detroit still did enough to win. Like, they're able to overcome even when they stumble a bit. I like Washington I think they should make a game of it, for a couple of reasons. One is, if you watch Jaden Daniels, this guy is just mature beyond his years. I don't know if you saw when they showed the isolated camera on him the winning field goal. I mean, he just sitting on the bench, cool as a cucumber, just sitting there, taking it all in. So he just seems to be so grounded. It's really impressive that you have a rookie with that much poise. Doesn't seem to get shook. And also you have Dan Quinn as the coach of the Commanders, who's a veteran, right, of many NFL seasons and many NFL teams. So, I think Commanders might make a game of it just for those aforementioned reasons. But ultimately, Detroit is just they have too many weapons. And also the other reason is Detroit, I think they're still a little banged up, more so on defense than they are on offense. And then the other reason is, as much as we love Dan Campbell and the players love him, you mentioned last year's NFC Championship game. Dan Campbell can get in his own way sometimes. He has some really risky play calling. And I don't know, I know it's part of his personality and part of his dynamic, but sometimes sometimes you do have to go with the safer play. I know he loves, this guy is almost automatic on fourth down, or it almost doesn't even matter where they are on the field, but I think he might be wise to curtail the high risk things, because it did cost them last year in the NFC Championship game. So I just kind of worry that if he has a couple of those erratic calls. But I think maybe the Lions might get well enough ahead where even those erratic calls won't cost them the game, because it's not like it'll be a one-score game when he makes those calls. But I hear that David Montgomery says he wants to play as well, so they might get their second running back. So they'll have that 1-2 punch, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And just look at Jahmyr Gibbs on his own for the last few weeks while Montgomery was out. I mean, the guy's been amazing. I think the guy really took the mantle of that number one running back and has almost been unstoppable. So I like Detroit to ultimately come up in the end. I think maybe Washington might scare them early. I think they might hang early, but I think Detroit just separates in the end. I'm not sure that they're going to win by 2 touchdowns, but I think they'll easily win by 7 to 10 points.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you there. But I think Washington's a great story for this season, but I think their time's it's not now.
Yeah, I think they're a team to watch. They're on the up and up.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go to Sunday's game. Very interesting matchup. So this has the LA Rams, and they travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. This is at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And these teams did play in late November, and the Eagles won by a score of 35-20. So how do you see this team? How do you see this game matching up?
I think it's an interesting game. I think the psychology of how the Rams are feeling with respect to what's happening in Los Angeles now, and we should point out and send our thoughts and prayers to the people of Los Angeles with all those fires. It's really difficult. So that's going to weigh on their minds, because somebody they know has been affected by what's happening there. They did a great job last week channeling that impact into a really good, solid devastation of the Minnesota Vikings. But I think this week they're playing a Philadelphia team. Philly beat them earlier in the year. Philly has their number. Philly, if you look at the series, Philly's got a really sizable advantage recently. I'm talking the last 20 plus years. I didn't go back that further than that, but I just think that Philly it's going to be a really close game, closer than it was early in the season. But I think Philly finds a way to win. I'm not convinced that Jalen Hurts can lead a team to a championship in the Super Bowl, but he can definitely get his team to the conference finals. They got the MVP of the league, as far as I'm concerned, in Saquon Barkley. So the Rams are going to play a very tight game because their defense has improved from earlier in the season. You got a veteran quarterback in Matthew Stafford who's won a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes to win, but there's something about the Eagles against the Rams that the Eagles find a way to win these games, and I think they're going to win this one. So it's probably going to be like a 3 to 7 point spread. I think it's going to be a 1-score game. It's going to be tighter, a lot tighter than the Rams and not the Rams, the Lions and the Commanders, and the Chiefs and the Texans. But I like the Eagles to come out on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think this is an interesting matchup. Yeah, the Rams are. I mean, that was an emotional victory over the Vikings, and actually a physical domination of the Vikings. Yeah, I don't think that. I think they just stunned Minnesota. You know, now I almost feel bad for Sam Darnold because he was positioning himself to have a huge payday, but the last 2 weeks kind of, they put a damper in that plan because, of course, he would have been, unless the Vikings franchise tag him, he might be one of the biggest free agents out there. But man, did the Rams make him look normal, make him look average last week. So and then of course the game moving to Arizona because of the wildfire. So I think the Rams expelled a lot of energy, especially on the emotional side. So that took a lot out of them. And then going to Philly's not an easy place to play, and especially their style of play, which will rely on ground and pound. With Saquon Barkley, in the earlier game, he racked up 255 yards and two touchdowns in that game. I think the Rams got better as they got healthier. So, I don't think Barkley's gonna run that wild over them. But the combination of Hurts and Barkley, and of course it's the Eagles' defense, right? Like they did a number on Green Bay last week, and Jordan Love. So, Jalen Hurts didn't even need to be that good last week. The Eagles on offense, they didn't need to be that good. Even, man, you gotta love Barkley. Even in that last series of the game against Green Bay, when he broke a tackle, instead of taking it for a big gain down, taking it to the house, he just went down. Like, what a selfless act by Barkley. And I think that that tells you the Eagles' mindset, right? They're in it to win it, just like how they rested Barkley, right? Like he was probably going to break the rushing record, and they decided to rest him. And I'm sure that Barkley would have been in on that decision. So like, it just tells you their mindset, right? Single focused, and they're in it to win it. Should set up for an awesome matchup against Detroit if everything plays out correctly. Lions and Eagles for NFC Conference Championship should be an amazing game. So I like the Eagles here to win. Maybe not by 15, but by at least a touchdown. That's will wrap it up for the NFC Divisional round, and stay tuned for next week where we break down the AFC and NFC Championship games. Thanks, everyone. See you, DDawg.
Thanks. Take care.